The Madeira River in September 1911 shimmered with an oily blackness, as though boiling asphalt had been poured into its veins. The gilt microscope from Kew Gardens and the emerald permit, issued by the Brazilian government, lay jumbled in the canoe's belly, beneath Everard Winslow's buckskin boots that crushed a copy of O Estado de São Paulo. Its headline proclaimed the Suarez Rubber Dynasty's acquisition of 200,000 hectares of rainforest. 3 weeks prior, 37 illegal loggers had been hanged from fig trees in Santarum's marketplace, their eyes replaced with obsidian beads sealed in resin, tongues carpeted with bioluminescent lichen. When the canoe struck the first floating corpse, Clara the intern mistook it for driftwood. Only when the rotting khaki shirt revealed a 1910 British Army insignia did she recognize the remains of the Rondonia expedition. From the corpse's abdomen poured not maggots, but bullet ants entwined with agate-hued mycelium, arranging themselves on the paddle to spell Bem-vindo a casa in Portuguese. Pedro the guide slit the corpse's throat, releasing dark green fluid that vaporized mid-air, coalescing into fragments of the 1888 Golden Law that abolished slavery. At midnight, the riverside monstera leaves abruptly curled inward, exposing crimson fungal patterns on their undersides, an exact replica of the expedition's camp layout. In his specimen case, Everard discovered newly collected orchids secreting a gelatinous substance that solidified into the shape of Clara's late father's pocket watch, its second hand ticking backward through the Tzolk'in Mayan calendar. The pre-dawn mist crystallized into a mycelial shroud, draping the camp in gray cobwebs. Through her microscope, Clara observed that the bleeding bark's secretion contained hybrid cells merging hemoglobin with chloroplasts. When her tweezers touched the slide, the brass instrument convulsed violently, ejecting spore-laden smoke that projected Morse code onto the tent canvas. The woods have teeth. The final message sent by the 1910 expedition's telegraph operator. Logger Alvaro's axe became lodged in a mahogany's growth rings. Upon extraction, it pulled forth fragments of a 1944 Zero fighter plane buried by Japanese settlers. More disturbingly, the metal bore fleshy fungal membranes rapidly proliferating into miniature kamikaze pilot figurines. The surrounding mangroves began exuding acidic mucus that dissolved the glass face of their German altimeter, the molten silicate recrystallizing into Nazca-line patterns mapping fungal growth vectors. At midnight, Sentry Julio's kerosene lantern revealed pulsating vascular structures within bark crevices. When he stabbed his dagger into the phenomenon, the rainforest erupted in ultrasonic shrieks. The blade corroded instantly into the pattern of Brazil's national flag. By dawn, white coral fungi had sprouted from his left ear canal, endlessly replaying radio broadcasts from the 1964 military coup. The full moon transformed the rainforest into a phosphorescent theater. Alvaro's return tore through the camp's fragile calm. His skin had turned translucent, revealing bioluminescent mycelium colonizing his ribcage like coral reefs. When he spoke, vibrating vocal cords expelled glowing spores that spelled names of 1968 missing Saddam officials in midair. Morphine syringes from the medical kit autonomously plunged into his spine, injection sites blooming with blood-red ammonitis. At the fungal carpet's edge, Clara discovered 1970s Dodge truck remains merging with tree roots. On its dashboard, slime mold undulated in precise mimicry of human cerebral folds. The rusted radio abruptly crackled to life, broadcasting a 1988 Forest Ranger's dying words. They're growing from the growth rings. Christ, the rings are spinning backward. At 3 a.m., the entire Monstera forest flipped their leaves in unison, exposing spore-generated matrix patterns on their undersides, exact replicas of Britain's classified 1904 rubber slavery documents. When Everard doused the map with silver nitrate, the humus collapsed into a subterranean cavern. Its walls bore calcified handprints, finger bones clutching cesium, 137 crystals from Chernobyl's 1986 disaster. Ascending the Strangler Fig's aerial ladder, biologists found compass needles replaced by fungal spicules. In the canopy cathedral 60 meters high, hundreds of myco-humanoids dangled from aerial roots. remains of 1940s Nazi expedition members, now singing Wagnerian operas through mycelium-modified vocal cords. Clara recognized a corpse wearing her mother's 1952 expedition badge. Everard's pocket watch began oozing black latex, its face superimposing the reversed Maya solar calendar. When Clara smeared menstrual blood on the cover, fungal hyphae erupted from numeral markings, weaving a three-dimensional Amazon map midair, each tributary labeled with spinal fluids from different decades missing persons. The canopy suddenly released spore rain, sprouting microscopic radios on skin that broadcast 2006 illegal gold mine collapse SOS signals. At dusk, the entire ecosystem began mirroring human neurology. Monstera leaves dilated with Clara's heartbeat. Bird-eating spiderwebs adjusted tensile strength according to Everard's anxiety levels. Pedro's indigenous poison dart frog pigment, meant to paint antifungal totems, instead self-rearranged into blueprints of the 1925 Philadelphia experiment. The subterranean cave stalactites were revealed as mnemonic crystals formed by fungal metabolites. Clara's amber hairpin activated the mycelial database, projecting 1975 Soviet spy satellite thermal maps, each anomalous zone marking fungal nucleus consumption events. Phosphorescent colonies on cave walls reenacted the 1932 coffee plantation revolt. Rebel blood converted into mycelium fuel powering fungal steam engines to crush hacienda owners. Everard discovered hyphal fractures in his irises, his retina projecting unseen visions. Rio de Janeiro 2028. Christ the Redeemer shrouded in cordyceps biomass, launching spore clouds forming the UN Biodiversity Accord. When he attempted documentation, his pen spewed slime mold ink that autonomously transcribed 900 AD Mayan priestly prophecies of fungal apocalypse. Alvaro's corpse abruptly sat up, thoracic mycelium ejecting the original 1992 forest principles from Earth Summit. The parchment, actually fungal membrane, bore clauses spelled by dormant spores that immediately began parasitizing DNA sequences of signing delegates upon air exposure. When rescue helicopters found the camp, all tents had merged with mycelium into pulsating membranous organs. Clara's specimen case had sprouted satellite dish hyphae, transmitting bioelectric waves to the ionosphere. Autopsy revealed fungal human hybrid embryos in her ovaries, umbilical cords encoded with 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis telegrams. 3 years later, a mysterious fungal pod arrived at Amazon State University. Its aerosol release generated holograms showing Everard Alvaro Mycocorporate commanding fungal armadas across the Atlantic, each vessel reconstructed from digested plastic waste and World War II shipwrecks. The projection culminated with Clara's face. Her eye sockets evolved into spore ejectors against a mycelial star map resonating with radio waves from Kepler 452b. Deep in the rainforest, devoured GPS satellites reactivated within fungal nuclei, transmitting final signals neither Morse nor binary but pure fungal neuropulses. In New York Stock Exchange, Vatican Archives, and Shanghai Free Trade Zone basements, the first fluorescent mushrooms emerged from human skull fissures, their gills printed with the complete text of Whispers from Sanguine Roots.